All right, so I have a new quiz here. I have the this quiz about rate word problems. So they're all speed, distance, time. There's just a well, they're all that basic form. There's a few different types of questions in here. So I chose one that we can do as a practice problem and start with that. So Pam drives to the park at 63 miles per hour. Later she drives home at 45 miles per hour. What was her average speed in miles per hour for the full round trip? Round answer to one decimal place. Okay, so when I do these problems, what I do, I always start with the formula, which is going to be R times T equals D. Rate times time equals distance. And if you kind of stick with that, you kind of tend to get one way or the other to the answer. Now the interesting thing is there's not a lot of information that we have a rate, we have the speeds. They don't tell us how long it takes, and they don't tell us the distance. And we have two trips. We have trip to the park and the trip home. So what I like to do is kind of just number the variables. So we'll have like R1, T1, D1. That'll be for the trip to the park. And then we'll separately, the return trip, we'll write like this just to distinguish um, the different trips. And what we want to find though, we want to find the rate for the whole trip. This without the subscript, that'll be our formula for the full trip. And what we actually want to find is just the rate. So to start with, what I do, I just try to figure out like what I know and plug that in. So we know the drive to the park. Okay, how about that? The drive to the park is 63 miles per hour. So we have a rate of 63 here. Just kind of bring this down. And then over on the right side, on the return trip, we have a rate of 45 miles per hour. And then we have that distance. Okay. So we really don't have very much information. We don't have enough to solve either of these equations on their own, right? Because you need to solve this one or this one. We want just one unknown, and we have two unknowns. But we do have some stuff we can use. So one important thing, whenever you have these round trip problems, she goes to the park and she goes to the park from home to the park and park to home. The distances are the same. This, I do a different color. D1 equals D2. It's a round trip. If you go to one location, you come back, the distances are the same. But what that does is what we want to do is we want to come back to this formula and fill in some more information. So we don't know, it doesn't tell us anything about the time. So we don't know how long it took her. So we don't know that. But we do know the distance to be, we could call the distance 2D1. We could say, let's see, let's do it this way. So the total distance is D1 plus D2, but because they're the same, we could write it as 2D1, 2D2. So we don't know precisely the distance, but we have an expression for it. Okay. So we actually have R times T equals 2D1. And then we don't know we don't know anything about the time, but what we can do is we can create expressions for the time. I'm gonna do kind of come down here. We can write the time T1 as D1 over 63 just by dividing by 63. And then we can write T2 as D2 divided by 45. And then going back to this formula here that we want to figure out, we don't know t, but we do know that t is the total time. So that's t1 plus t2. And we have expressions for that. We have these two expressions. So let's try to put something together for t. So t is going to be d1 we want t1 plus t2, so it's going to be d1 over 63 plus d2 over 45. And then what we can do is get common denominators. So let's multiply this one by 45. We'll multiply this one by 63. Then I'm going to go to full screen for some more space. And then, okay, so then, here, let's just kind of come over here. Just keep going out this way. Okay, so then what we're going to have is just a little simplification. 45 d1 plus 63 d2 over 45 times 63. We'll just leave it, rather than multiplying out, we'll leave it like that for now. And now, okay, so we don't know, we have some unknowns, but going back to our formula, we want to find d1 here, but we want to find, we're solving for r is what we really want. So we can write this as 2d1 over t, but we just found an expression for t. So we can substitute that in here. And let's see what we have. We can write this as r 2d1 and then I don't really like this fraction very much, so what I'm going to do is just flip it because I can do that. Okay, and we'll bring this upstairs, so we're going to have, let's stay with blue. So we're going to have r equals 45 times 63 times 2d1. And then we're going to use, on the bottom, we're going to use this fact that d1 equals d2. So let's change, before I do this, we'll change this d2 to d1, not di, d1. And then so that means we can just add these together. So we're going to end up with 108 d1. And then the beauty of this is then, because we don't know the distance, but it cancels, so we don't care. Now all we have is a fraction. And then, so let's just reduce that. Um, reduce that. So, let me think. This is just 9 times 7. This is just 9 times 12. So the 9's cancel. 2 is going to cancel here and leaves with a 6. And then I don't think there's anything more I can do there. So 7, let's see. So 7 times 4 is going, 7 times 45 is 280, 315 over 6. Oh, wait, that's still, I can reduce that further. Getting to 105. 2, so that's actually going to be 52.5 miles per hour. Okay, so let me check the answer on that and see. Things got a little messy. My board froze, but let's see if this worked. So go back. 52.5. What's that thing? Huh. Okay. Oh, what the heck? That formatting is terrible. How'd this get down here? correct, but that's ridiculous. All right, I better fix that. Stupid. Why's that there? Oh, maybe the it's taking up a lot of space up here, and it pushed everything down. Oh, that's ridiculous. All right. It's jacking up my help. Anyway, if you go into the help, there is some instructions on these. Not too much because there's a lot of different kinds of problems, but I give a few tips, and then there's a video on Mind Your Decisions that I have a link to that is a similar kind of problem to this one that we did here. So I'll stop it there, and hopefully that helped.